Right, so welcome back to Fly Fishing Rutland Water. We're out for my second boat trip this week. I didn't plan on coming out for a second time, but I looked at the weather today and thought it might be a nice day to be out. So I've got a specific plan this afternoon. I'm going to fish a number of drifts that should fish well under these conditions and allow me to cover a lot of water. So I'm starting off here in Old Hall Bay, which is one of my favourite spots. I've got my new Airflow Superflow 3-foot midge tip line on. I'm going to start up near and around the surface just to see if there's any fish kicking about. Using standard washing line to start off with. Now there's a bit more sunshine than I was expecting today, but there have been quite a few fish showing in Old Hall Bay, so I would have thought a midge tip washing line with a booby on the point might get me deep enough with the nymphs. But the way the wind is today is lovely because I can actually get a number of drifts. I can drift all down Old Hall Bay, off of the Hambleton Wood Peninsula, and then I can fish around into Yellowstone, and then along that bank, and I'm gradually just going to move my way down. May take a little venture into Sailing Club Bay or somewhere around those areas, and I'm just going to keep fishing. I'm going to keep on the move. I'm going to not be motoring. I'm going to be letting the drogue and the boat just take me down the reservoir. I really like this line. It's casting really nicely. For those of you in fly fishing large reservoirs that recommended the Airflow Superflow 3-foot slow intermediate, thank you very much. It's a really nice line. I already have a Superflow floater which I really like, and this one just feels very like it. It's a really nice line to cast. Not seeing any fish moving here though, which is surprising, but again we have a blazing sun, so that might be putting them down. I may have to go down to the intermediate lines. Right, those flies are fishing fine. So now we've got a damsel on the point. Hopefully that'll maybe take us down a little bit deeper and see if the fish are maybe a little bit further down. Now I'll retrieve this a little bit because the damsel should take the flies down a little. Then if that doesn't work, I might try the dry fly. I'm just going to keep drifting because under these conditions the fish will be moving all over. The wind is blowing the current all along the bank, so the fish should be moving all up and down this bank. Oh, that fish followed! Oh, that fish followed me right in! So, oh wow, that was interesting. So they are here and they're following. That fish followed the damsel. So maybe they want it to be, maybe they want a little bit of movement in the fly. That fish followed. It followed my flies all the way into the boat, and I just saw its back just as it got close in. So there's something on there that they've got an interest in. Now, is that just one of just a lucky fluke fish, or are there more? But I saw that silhouette of the fish just as I was lifting the flies at the water, so it followed something. I suspect it was probably the damsel that's on the point. Okay, we fished that drift pretty well. I'm not getting anything with the midge tip, so I'm going to try a little bit of time with the dry fly because there are an awful lot of terrestrials over the water. I have my good old Hardy Sovereign. I haven't used this rod for years. It was my first proper fishing rod. A 9'6" Hardy Sovereign with matching reel that I bought from the Hardy factory in Alnwick. So it's kind of one of these rods that I have a massive emotional tie to. I haven't used it for years, but I just thought I'm going to take this one out because it's such a lovely rod to cast. It's a weight forward 7, but It's just a nice, easy cast. And I love the sound of the matching Hardy Sovereign reel. If we get a fish on this, it's going to be fun. Oh, it's got a silent mode as well. Oh, that's a lovely line to cast. This rod is just so easy. It's got a soft action, which makes it nice for fishing a dry fly. Takes a bit of getting used to after the faster lines, but it will enable me to get that dry fly just out nicely. Don't have to cast very far, just get that fly out in front of the boat. It's one of these rods you don't need to double haul with. You kind of just gently throw it out. One of the missions I have now is when I'm boat fishing, it's not all about just how many fish I can get on camera. I actually want to show you a lot of different locations and some of the ways that I go about fishing them. I mean, this channel is really meant for people that are not familiar with Rutland water. I mean, the experienced anglers will probably look at this and think he doesn't know what he's doing. And I don't profess to be as good as the competition anglers or even some of the more proficient bank anglers or boat anglers. I'm just doing this for a bit of fun. So I'm hoping this will appeal to anglers who are just looking for a little bit of prior experience of Rutland water and what it's like and where to fish. And the hope that it might entice you to come down and visit our little lovely county of Rutland, the smallest county in England. Right, so we're back at the Boyles. It's been brick hard in the blazing sunshine, so the Boyles is probably my best chance of getting a fish. So I'm going to try and put us back into the action zone for one more time. This has worked out well. The motor's brought me in just to exactly the right point. I think we've got a chance. Yeah, we should get a few casts in here before we get blown out. Today I've got the DI5 on because I think they might be down a little bit. Letting it come round in the current for a little. Oh, don't bring the sleeves up, it's too hot for that. It's incredibly hot today. I didn't think it was going to be this hot. There was supposed to be some cloud cover and there just isn't. It's one of those baking sunshine days. I can never seem to get that engine to cut. Always goes on for about another couple of strokes. And it takes me right out of the action zone. That's funny, the boat's now being pushed back. The wind's pushing me forward, the water's pushing me back, and that's where I want to be. Now there's no guarantee there's going to be any fish in this one. Or fish that are in the mood for taking anyway. Oh, fish followed me there. That fish followed me. I've had countless follows today, but nothing on the line. Oh dear. That one came in and followed it right in. Oh dear. Right, I cut the engine at the right time that time. Gives me a decent cast. I want to fish the other side of the Boyle. This side, yeah. The fish in this one aren't dumb enough. I need dumber fish. So, for those of you that think that it's a fish I cast in the boils, it isn't always. I only had one follow here and no tugs. So just because the boils are on doesn't mean the fish are going to take. That's one. Ah, that came off though. Ah, never mind. When I see this place, I tend to think of all these U-boat films where you can hear the destroyer up above, and I wonder if that's what the fish think when they hear the engines of the boat. Oh my god, depth charges. Or flies. Right, on that side of the boil. Oh, fish right out of the water there. Oh, did you see that? That fish was following the orange blob. It isn't like shooting fish in a barrel. They don't always want to play, even here. Right, okay, so hopefully this time we're in a better spot. Well, we've got a line that's going to sink a lot less fast, so if the fish are a bit higher up in the water, we've got a chance of getting them now. It's a new line, so it's going to be harder to get to cast initially because it's not wet. So, oh, that was the current that got me. That nearly burned my hand on the line. Whew. That bounced me right off. Oh, that's it. I don't want to touch this line because it burns your hand. This one took and then went really, really deep. Really deep. Oh. Don't want to touch that running line. It is just so easy to get burns on your hands. In the words of Gollum, it burned. Oh, this one is definitely going. This one's heading to the Normanton bank, I think. It's heading onto the running line twice now. I don't like standing up, but I needed to get the net there. This one. I keep the net rod low. Well, this is hardly subtle, folks, but when it's weather like this, you have to think about what is going to give you the best chance, and today I'm afraid it's the boils. They've saved me from blanking on a number of occasions. This is when they normally come off close to the boat. This one's got a lot of power in it, but there's a lot of oxygen in this water, so they've got a natural supply of fuel. It is properly hooked. I thought it might be foul hooked, but it's not. It's properly hooked. It's not a monster either. Oh, that's a good one. It's got a good weight in it. Yeah, that's about, well, that's an easy 4-pounder. Yeah, easy 4-pounder. If you have a look at the tail, it's got a lot of colour in it, so that's been overweight. Oh, the flies come out in the net as well. That's the joy of barbless hooks. Now that's one of the joys of fishing the boils, is it's a place where you can get quality fish, and that is a quality fish. Let it revive now. That's easily 4 pounds, so maybe even more. Nah, 4. I think it's 4. Right, and it's going. Oh! Right under the boat. Oh. Now, it's not been easy. I've had to work hard, even in the boils today, to get a fish. The other thing that's important is that you use a decent break and strainer line in here. I won't use anything less than 10, and usually 12-pound line when I'm fishing in the boils, because you can get double hookups, you can get snapped. I got snapped on Tuesday, so you need to be kind of using tackle that's appropriate for the strength of the water and the strength of the fish. I tend to use the same flies here when I'm fishing the boils. I don't really chop and change too much because I kind of know what colour combination gets their attention. I think one of the tricks is you have to learn to cut the engine much earlier than you think you need to. I want to get the fly on the other side of the aerator this time. That was the side where the fish took. That was another take. And they all seem to, it's on. Oh, it's come back and taken again. So that one's taken once and then come back and taken again. Right, let's get this on the reel again. I don't like this. This orange line is Bernie finger territory. There we go. This one's on the black and green again. Something about black and green in Rutland. I'm going to try and get this one round about the front of the boat again. I think it has other ideas though. Come on, come this way. Keep an eye on that top fly. I do love these graze nets. They've got a really long handle. My own landing net's really designed for landing fish on the bank. This net really does the job for the deeper water. There we go. Oh, another nice one. Again, in the 3 to 4 pound region. No silver in the tail in this one, or not as much, so I think this is probably a more recently stocked fish. That's nothing, that's a stocker you can see on the tail. The tail there is a bit raggedy, but we'll let that one revive in the net a little bit before we put it back. That's it. That one went away nicely. We're going to slow it down a little bit. There's a spot over here that I've seen some terns feeding in. So that kind of says there might be something around there feeding. Because if the terns are feeding, the fish might be feeding as well. So I'm going to go and try the spot with the dry fly and maybe some nymphs. But anything other than pulling lures over boils, we've had enough of that. Two nice fish, and that's the beauty of the boils. They can save your day when it's really, really difficult and you want to come off the water having at least touched a fish, if not caught one. Right, I'm going to try the spot with a dry fly. Start off with a Midas, and if that drift doesn't work, I will come back in and do another drift using my midge tip and nymphs. I know the water gets progressively shallower here as we get closer to the bank, and in the shallower water the fish might see something a bit higher in the water, might be willing to rise to it even in this baking sunshine. We are filled with hope. We'll also drift really slowly because there's hardly any wind now. The wind is just gone. But it's not unbeknown for the fish to come up and take a dry when it's calm like this. It's just like there's a meal presented on the surface. If it's nice and easy, why would you not take advantage of it? This Hardy Sovereign is a really nice rod to cast. very gentle. I have to be very delicate with it, but it lays the fly down really, really nicely, and it's not heavy to cast. It's been a hard day, but it's been an enjoyable day. I really thought I was going to get something off Old Hall and Yellowstone. I had lots of follows. There was one where I was retrieving the two fabs with the nymphs in between on the sink tip, and there was two fish following at once. Now, I don't know if they were following the fabs or the nymphs, but they were there but just wouldn't take. And I had a couple of follows on the damsel. I put the damsel on the point and started bringing that in reasonably fast, and I got a couple of follows. But they just didn't want to take. I think it's probably because the water is crystal clear today. An awful lot of damsels about though. That's why I'm going to try the dries for one drift, and then I'm going to try the nymphs but with the damsel on the point, in the hope that if the damsels are on the surface that they may be underneath it as well. Oh, I really like this airflow, superflow. I can get the line out in just two simple, easy casts. There's been no evidence of fish feeding in any kind of pattern at all today. Everywhere I've gone, I've been looking for something to give me an indication that there might be feeding fish in the area, but there's been nothing. Nothing at all. Well, folks, at least we've given it a chance. We haven't just spent a whole day getting fish on the boils. We've tried to fish the imitative tactics, but the conditions have just been against us. I've still had a good afternoon out. Probably be absolutely cremated tomorrow morning. But I'd like to thank you for coming out fly fishing on Rutland water in this baking hot sunshine. If you like the video, please make sure you hit the like button. And I'd be delighted if you would subscribe to see more of my fishy adventures. Thanks for watching.